The story begins with a boy named Shen Yuan driving his Ferrari to school. Everyone is shocked and starts taking pictures as he steps out of the car. Nearby students complain that this new guy has just entered school and is already dating the most popular girl from the second year. One student with glasses says that life must be easy when you are rich and handsome. You can date whoever you want. But his friend disagrees, saying that Shen Yuan doesn't just date one person. He dates everyone, even first-year girls. As Shen Yuan walks with his date, she carries herself confidently, head held high, and the other girls watch with jealousy. One of them, while putting on lipstick, tells her friend that chances like this don't come often. They must make their own opportunities. Shen Yuan, however, is just enjoying his life. That perfect life ends quickly when, after finishing high school and entering university, his family's 3 travel agencies suddenly go bankrupt. They are left with millions in debt. Shen Yuan moves into a small dorm room and calls his friends to play games online, but they tell him not to bother if he isn't paying. He realizes they only stayed with him for his money. Now his parents and sister live in a cramped apartment, and he has lost everything. His freedom and joy vanish. One day he meets his current girlfriend, Jo Wonking, leaning against a wall. She calmly tells him that their relationship is over and hopes he finds someone better. Shen Yuan is shocked. They have been together for 3 years. He asks how she can end it so suddenly, but she explains that their love was never real. She adds that if they ever meet again, he should not call her by her old nickname because she hates it. Then she turns to leave, saying her friend is here to pick her up. Before she goes, Shen Yuan asks her to return the expensive bags he bought for her. She becomes angry and insists she deserves to keep them after 3 years together. He tells her that if she refuses, they can go on one last adventure together. But she curses him instead. A man in a car calls her by the same nickname Shen Yuan used, but this time she doesn't mind. Shen Yuan notices the difference but stays calm. The man offers him a ride, clearly trying to mock him. But Shen Yuan politely declines. He tells the man to take good care of Jo Wonking, and then, with a sly smile, shares a few personal details about her preferences just to embarrass them both. The man slams the car door and drives away in anger, while Shen Yuan remains calm and even wishes them well. Soon after, something strange happens. A system appears before him. It says that everyone deserves the chance to live a perfect life, and begins loading the perfect life system. Shen Yuan's stats appear on the screen. The system explains that to live a perfect life, he needs not just money but also admiration from women, and his first mission is to spend money on a woman who has at least a 60-point affection score toward him. Whatever he spends will be tripled, and if her affection increases, it will be multiplied by 6. As he stands there confused, his school counselor approaches and comforts him about his breakup. Above her head, he notices a floating heart showing 65 points of affection. That means she qualifies for the mission. He thanks her and decides to test the system by inviting her for bubble tea. He spends about $15, and when he checks his balance, the money has tripled to 45. The system really works. If he keeps spending wisely, he can multiply his money endlessly and pay off his family's debts. He takes out several loans, even from shady lenders, gathering nearly 50,000. He plans to buy a gift for his counselor, pretending it's cheap so she will accept it. After buying a Prada bag, he goes to her house, nervous because he doesn't even know if she's married. She opens the door, surprised to see him, and he explains that he just wanted to thank her for helping him since he joined the school. She hesitates to take the gift, saying it's her duty to support her students. But he insists it's only a $200 imitation. Feeling guilty, she accepts it and promises to give him something in return on his birthday. Smoke suddenly rises from her kitchen, and she rushes to fix it. Shen Yuan steps inside, counting it as an invitation. The system confirms the transaction, and his money multiplies. He now has more than 20,000 even after paying his debts. Coming from nothing, it feels incredible. When she comes back, she tells him to sit down and eat. He casually asks if she has a boyfriend, and she says no. He moves to help her remove her apron, but it gets tangled just as another woman storms in, her sister, Lei Ming. She misreads the scene and accuses Shen Yuan of being suspicious. Feeling awkward, he decides to leave. The counselor tries to defend him, but her sister remains convinced he's trouble. Out on the street again, Shen Yuan wonders who he should spend on next, since his plan with the counselor worked, but they don't have a real relationship yet. Suddenly, his friend Hang Hebo bumps into him, upset that his crush Fang Minrui went to the movies with another guy. Shen Yuan listens, confused, since he knows she's from another class and way out of Hang Hebo's leg. Before he can respond, two beautiful girls appear, one blonde, one dark-haired, and one of them is Fang Minrui herself. Hebo gets excited to see her again. Shen Yuan notices a heart symbol floating above her head, showing 72 points. Fang Minrui stands confidently, her athletic figure drawing attention. Her friend tells her that Shen Yuan was recently dumped, and Minrui remembers that she used to like him a lot. Back then, she would buy him drinks and snacks just to get closer to him. Her friend, however, dislikes Shen Yuan, saying that he was arrogant when he was rich, and now that he's poor, he's even worse. Meanwhile, Shen Yuan watches them from a distance, noticing the little hearts floating above Minrui's head as her affection points drop, and he realizes he must act quickly before her feelings fade completely. He turns to his friend and asks if he would be upset if he started dating Minrui. His friend laughs and says it's impossible since Shen Yuan isn't the rich guy he used to be, but as long as Minrui isn't dating that other man, he doesn't care. Hearing that, Shen Yuan rushes toward Minrui. When he approaches her, she's tall and graceful. Her friend immediately steps in protectively, asking what he wants. Shen Yuan calmly asks Minrui if she's free the next day to have sushi with him. She blushes, surprised that he's suddenly inviting her out, while her friend knows exactly which restaurant he's talking about, an expensive place where the bill never falls below 1,000. Sensing the situation, Shen Yuan cleverly adds that he only wants her help choosing a gift for his little sister because he trusts her taste. Then he leaves, saying they'll meet tomorrow. Minrui hesitates because she recently went to the movies with another guy, but her friend insists she shouldn't refuse. The place serves sushi, and she has nothing to lose by eating for free, especially since her friend says Shen Yuan may be arrogant, but at least he's attractive, unlike that other man who's rich but unpleasant. The next day, they meet at the restaurant. Expensive dishes cover the table, and Minrui feels nervous. She has heard that Shen Yuan's family went bankrupt, and tells him he shouldn't be spending money like this. Shen Yuan remembers that just 2 months ago, she used to buy him little gifts. She asks why he invited her out and what the talk about a gift for his sister means, and he explains that he always wanted to have dinner with her but never found the right time. That answer disappoints her, and her affection points drop. Quickly realizing his mistake, he changes his words and mentions how he remembers her kindness, how she used to bring him drinks and chat with him online late at night. Her expression softens, and the hearts start rising again. Time passes, and soon he's paying the bill. Even after a discount, it costs about 2,700. Minrui is shocked. When she went out with the rich guy before, he acted stingy, but Shen Yuan, who's supposedly broke, is spending generously. Her affection points increase from 72 to 76, earning him a huge bonus from the system, more than 10,000 gained from this meal. She begins to see him differently, holding his hand and suggesting they go shopping. At the mall, fate plays a cruel joke. They run into his ex-girlfriend, Jo Wonking, and her new boyfriend, the same man from before, and Wonking looks furious, wondering how Shen Yuan could be with another girl already. Her boyfriend looks just as angry, knowing he spent a fortune to win her over, only to see Shen Yuan with someone new the next day. The man calls out to Shen Yuan, pretending it's a coincidence and suggesting they walk together, while Wonking angrily asks what he's doing there and who Minrui is. Shen Yuan casually says he's there to buy gifts for his sister. The man mocks him, saying this mall doesn't have discounts, while Wonking warns Minrui not to fall for his act. Shen Yuan calmly asks her when he ever deceived her, but she turns away. The man laughs, calling him pathetic, a bankrupt fool pretending to have money. Shen Yuan feels his temper rise. But before he reacts, the system speaks again, reminding him that someone living a perfect life should not tolerate humiliation, and that to restore balance, he must spend money to raise the affection of those who like him and lower the affection of those who hate him. For every 5 points of hatred he generates, his money will double, and although Shen Yuan initially wants to ignore them, the system forces his hand. He tells Minrui it's time to go. Inside the mall, people start whispering, the once rich boy has returned. Minrui feels uncertain since everyone knows his family is broke, but a store clerk enthusiastically invites them in. Meanwhile, Wonking hints for her boyfriend to buy her a handbag. The store worker who has to assist Shen Yuan looks annoyed, thinking he's just wasting her time. Minrui helps him choose a bag that would suit his sister, but the clerk says it's very expensive, over 50,000. The other man becomes irritated, since he had planned to spend only 20,000 today, but the bags alone already exceed 100,000. Wonking whispers to him to spend more money to show how rich he is and humiliate Shen Yuan, but the problem is he doesn't have that kind of money, and his credit card can't even handle the purchase. Then Shen Yuan calmly says he'll take both bags and the matching accessories. Everyone is stunned. The clerk, knowing about his family's bankruptcy, is sure he can't afford it. But he hands her his card confidently. She processes the payment, delighted by the huge commission. Wonking can't believe what she's seeing, and the man mutters that Shen Yuan must have borrowed money. Shen Yuan smiles and tells him not to worry about his purchases. Instead, he should focus on keeping his girlfriend happy, maybe by buying her another handbag. He even suggests that a man as powerful as him should spend at least 700,000 today to prove himself, and the tables turn instantly. Wonking demands that her boyfriend show his financial strength, but he can't since he had taken out a loan just to rent his luxury car, and now he's panicking. Pretending to get a call, he excuses himself and leaves. Wonking, furious, calls him pathetic and storms off. Shen Yuan doesn't care, since he only did what the system asked and enjoyed putting them in their place. He then gives one of the handbags to Minrui as thanks for enduring the awkward scene, and although she refuses, saying it's too expensive, he insists. He tells her it's a reward for being kind and patient. She reminds him that he said the bag was for his sister. Shen Yuan smoothly replies that now he's not sure if his sister would like it, but since Minrui chose it, she should keep it instead. Minrui hesitates, not wanting to seem greedy, but he gently takes her hands and says it's just the beginning, there will be more gifts. She finally accepts, completing the mission, and the system immediately rewards him by tripling the money he spent. Minrui studies Shen Yuan with bright eyes, thinking she may have found the perfect money tree. To keep her from getting nervous, he says it is time to head back to school, and adds that buying anything more today would be too much. She stays silent, still watching him. He climbs the dorm stairs and passes his former friends, who are planning a party. When they see him, they brag that they will turn the music up so he can hear how much fun they are having. He stands alone at his door for a moment. Inside, his roommate says that the showy rival went out with the school flower and is telling everyone about it. Shen Yuan tells him to relax, thinking that the rival's moment will end soon and that Minrui will not choose that man. His friend argues that Minrui already went to the movies with the rival, but Shen Yuan does not bother to explain. He decides it is time to go home to help his family. At his parents' place, an uncle named Yadu is already there, pressing them for payment. Shen Yuan greets him coolly. His father tells him to rest while the adults talk, but Shen Yuan waits just behind the door and listens. The uncle insists he needs full payment, or he will be in trouble himself. Shen Yuan's mother reminds him that when he needed money to open a car wash, they helped him, so it is wrong for him to act this way now. Her husband tries to calm her, but she refuses to back down. The uncle says he has already been patient only because they are family, and if they were anyone else, he would have thrown them out. His mother grows angry until Shen Yuan steps in and gently holds her arm, telling her to stay calm and that they will find a way. At that moment, the system activates, declaring that a perfect life cannot be disturbed by debt and promising to double any money used to pay his father's debts. It also grants a bonus of 1 million that can be spent only on a car for Shen Yuan. This matches his plan, since he wanted to use his earnings to help his family anyway. His mother clutches old family jewelry, heirlooms passed down through generations, because she believes it is the only way to cover the debt. What she does not know is that Shen Yuan already sold some pieces earlier to buy gifts for girlfriends. He steps out and says there is no need to worry because he has the money. His parents do not believe him and tell him to stop joking, but he asks his father to check the phone. A new transfer shows 200,000 in the account. They ask where it came from. He explains that he once bought some cryptocurrency and forgot about it, and when he checked recently, it had risen. His mother praises him for saving the family and tells the uncle that the debt is paid. She orders the uncle to leave. The uncle hesitates, then gets pushed out, stunned that a family he thought was finished could pay so fast. The mission completes, doubling the 200,000 to 400,000, and the system adds 1 million for a car. Of course, he has only handled the rent and immediate costs. The old company still owes hundreds of millions. For now, this is the best he can do. He asks if his parents need more money. His mother says not yet, since the other bills are not urgent. His father, less calm, asks to borrow at least 50,000. Shen Yuan smiles, remembering how he used to ask his father for cash, while his father relaxed in a big house reading the newspaper. Now the roles are reversed. Back on campus, he runs into his counselor. Many students pay extra attention in her class. He starts to invite her to dinner, but he feels a fierce stare from behind. Her sister, Li Ming, stands there with hands on hips and does not trust him at all. He decides to drop the idea, waves goodbye, and claims he needs to study. Li Ming tells the counselor that he has bad intentions because she is his teacher. Shen Yuan wipes sweat and thinks about how he has been running around all day, far from the days when he drove a Ferrari and handled big business. He remembers the system bonus of 1 million that must be used on a car. He calls Minrui to join him. Her friend teases her, saying that if they are going back to the dorm alone, to give a warning so the friend can leave. The friend is playful and makes things easy for him. Minrui tells her not to say nonsense and insists they are not together, but the friend says she is lucky to have found a guy like this and hints that she knows where things are heading. They arrive at a car dealership. A salesman recognizes Minrui and greets her warmly. He went to the same school and has been chasing her for a while. He looks at Shen Yuan and asks who he is. Shen Yuan introduces himself. The salesman asks what car he wants to see, and Shen Yuan says the M9. The salesman knows the car costs about 600,000. He already doubts this will go anywhere with a supposedly broke student. Still, he enjoys being near Minrui and boasts to himself about earning more than 10,000 a month. He moves closer to chat with her, but Minrui, tall and cool, cuts him off and says she has other plans and is not interested in talking. Before the salesman can recover, Shen Yuan asks for a test drive. The salesman is annoyed that Shen Yuan interrupted his flirting, though he was already rejected. Shen Yuan has spent most of his life wealthy and is tired of being treated like a joke. So he walks straight to the reception desk and asks for someone who actually knows how to sell cars. A top seller named Chen No appears. She is poised and professional. Shen Yuan is momentarily dazzled by her presence. The original salesman begins to panic when his coworker asks why he left Shen Yuan to another employee. He replies that there is no point wasting time since no broke student could afford an M9, assuming Shen Yuan is only trying to impress the girl. Inside the showroom, Chen Na explains the car's features to Shen Yuan, but he is barely listening. She is stunning, even more striking than Minrui. But he knows that some saleswomen at luxury dealerships flirt with customers to secure deals. He decides not to show any interest, and when Chen Na asks whether he likes the details, he says it doesn't matter and asks if one is available immediately because he wants to take it home that day. She seems surprised since most buyers test multiple cars before deciding, and she apologizes, explaining that none are in stock, but she can have one transferred from another dealership within the week. Shen Yuan agrees but asks her to hurry the process. She tells him he must leave a deposit of 50,000. He says that is fine, and soon she is walking down the hall where her coworker asks how the sale went, and she casually says that it's done, he bought it. Another salesman overhears and can't believe it, since she only spoke to Shen Yuan for 2 minutes. Minrui's admirer mutters that Shen Yuan must be bluffing, but Chen Na disagrees and explains that he plans to pay the full amount up front. The first salesman realizes, too late, that he gave up a massive sale. Chen Na thanks Shen Yuan and tells him he can reach out if he ever needs a favor or a ride. Minrui quickly cuts in, saying there is no need for that because they will take a taxi back. Chen Na senses the tension and steps back politely. Outside, Shen Yuan asks Minrui if she wants to eat, but he notices her cold mood and realizes she is jealous. He assures her it was only a business interaction, though she doubts him, pointing out how comfortably he spoke with the saleswoman. He apologizes and claims he simply likes paying attention to what people say, though in truth he had ignored most of it. Minrui catches herself acting possessive. She reminds herself that they aren't officially together, but his charm and generosity make it hard not to feel attached. Shen Yuan suggests they grab food and later visit the mall to buy gifts, but she refuses, saying he already spent plenty on her the previous day. He insists that she can't go out every day of the week carrying the same bag, and that she deserves variety. For him, this spending isn't wasteful. It increases her affection and multiplies his money. At the restaurant, he casually asks whether she wants something hot or cold to drink. She hesitates, realizing it sounds like a sly question about her condition, and since in some games that question has a hidden meaning, she plays along, saying she'll take something cold. Shen Yuan smiles, taking it as a green light, and hints that he's been patient long enough. Later, after more shopping and expensive gifts, they walk through the city. He has spent about 80,000 on her in only a few days, while his account has grown to over 2 million thanks to the system's rewards. He suggests ending the evening on a more intimate note, and Minrui responds with a teasing look. Half an hour later, they are together in room 888. Shen Yuan showers. Meanwhile, Minrui worries about explaining to her friend why she won't return that night. When he steps out, he jokes that it's time for another round. She laughs and challenges him to keep up. Time passes and he admits he is exhausted while she still seems full of energy, ready for a second round. He begs for a short break, but it's already too late. She isn't done yet. The next morning, Shen Yuan wakes up with a satisfied smile. After all his recent spending, his balance has grown to about 2.5 million. His roommate immediately asks where he disappeared last night. He then shows him a photo on his phone. The arrogant Zheng Ping just bought a new car and is bragging about it to everyone. Shen Yuan only shrugs, finding it amusing but not worth caring about, and a moment later, someone calls him to join for drinks when the system's voice interrupts. It reminds him that a perfect life is not only about winning the admiration of women, but also about being successful in business, granting him 1 million to invest with the rule that he must spend all of it within 1 week, and any profits he makes will be doubled. Shen Yuan is excited by this new mission, since he has been thinking of building a real income source. He is tired of spending just to keep the system running and wants something sustainable. The person who invited him for drinks is named Lei Yuan, an old acquaintance. Later that day, they meet at a private lounge called the Dragon's Bar, where a man in a Hawaiian shirt named Lin Guang grumbles about being hungry and impatient. Another guy in a suit, tells him to relax because important guests are on their way, and a man in a backward cap agrees. Li Yuan tells them to wait a bit longer since Shen Yuan is coming. Guang scoffs and says that Shen Yuan shouldn't even show up. His family went bankrupt and he's finished. Li Yuan's girlfriend, a sharp-tongued woman named Yu Hang, immediately scolds Guang and says that since she's paying for tonight, he should stay quiet. Guang mutters something under his breath about her being annoying, while she complains that he's been flirting with her nonstop without any real intention of dating her. The conversation turns to Hai, whose girlfriend is on the way, and Guang clearly dislikes him, jealous because Hai's girlfriend is famously beautiful. Moments later, Shen Yuan arrives wearing plain, worn clothes that make him look broke. He apologizes for being late, and Yu Hang smiles kindly, telling him it's fine. Guang can't resist making a snide remark about how things would be easier if Shen Yuan had a personal driver. Then the door opens again, and Hai's girlfriend walks in. It's none other than Chen Na, the stunning car saleswoman from the dealership, who greets everyone politely. Hai smirks, proud to have her by his side. Shen Yuan recognizes her immediately, and she recognizes him too. He's the one who bought the luxury car without hesitation. She hides her surprise and quietly takes her seat beside Hai. Once everyone settles, Li Yuan begins his pitch, explaining that he invited them for a business opportunity that could bring huge returns. He needs to raise about 2.5 million in total, and is asking for around 700,000 from each person. The group falls silent. One of them laughs and asks what kind of investment this is, calling him a scammer. Apparently, Li Yuan has a history of making terrible investments, but since he usually uses his father's money, no one has ever cared before. This time, however, everyone is cautious, and when no one agrees to join in, Li Yuan becomes irritated. He complains that whenever he covers most of the investment, everyone is eager to participate, but now that he's asking for equal shares, they all refuse. The room stays silent until Guang speaks up, saying he isn't investing right now because he wants to play it safe and save money. The others nod and say the same thing. They don't want to risk losing their saving. Li Yuan insists this project is different and that it will definitely make money, but nobody believes him. Guang suggests another idea. If Li Yuan needs cash, he can borrow it instead. That way, if the project succeeds, Li Yuan keeps the profit, and if it fails, he still has to return the loan, making it an easy way out for everyone else but an unfair deal for Li Yuan. Shen Yuan watches all this quietly, wondering why Li Yuan still wastes his time with such people, since they're nothing but parasites pretending to be cautious investors. Eventually, Shen Yuan asks what he would gain if he decided to invest 700,000. The entire room goes silent. Guang bursts out laughing, reminding everyone that Shen Yuan's family is broke. Another guy pats him on the shoulder and tells him to stop joking around and go splash some water on his face. Hai steps in and tries to explain that business isn't so simple, saying that even experienced people lose money sometimes, and that kind of investment could easily disappear. Everyone doubts Shen Yuan's words, except for Chen Na, who listens quietly from the back. She remembers how he confidently spent 600,000 on a car the day before, so maybe 700,000 isn't unrealistic for him, though she doesn't know him well enough to speak up. Then, without warning, Shen Yuan calmly announces that he has already transferred the money. Li Yuan quickly checks his phone, and his screen lights up with a confirmation. The full 700,000 has arrived. He turns it around to show everyone. Guang's face turns pale, as if his soul just left his body. Chen Na looks around the room, noticing how everyone's expression has suddenly changed. Everyone in the room stands up, demanding that Guang explain what just happened. Even Hai, usually calm, looks curious, but Guang refuses to add fuel to Shen Yuan's growing reputation. He tells them to figure it out themselves, but inside, he is burning with jealousy, wondering how Shen Yuan managed to pull out that kind of money. A moment later, the guy in the cap, Xiao Xiang, walks in and notices the strange atmosphere. He asks what's going on, but before anyone can answer, one of the guests suddenly pretends to remember something important and rushes out. One by one, the others make excuses and leave, claiming they'll see everyone next time. Hai looks around, confused, wondering why everyone is leaving so suddenly. Outside, Chenna also prepares to go, telling her boyfriend it's time to leave. Hai stops her, saying there's no reason to rush off since he doesn't even believe Shen Yuan really transferred the money. And that's when Chenna reveals that the day before, Shen Yuan came to the dealership and bought a car, paying in full. Hai freezes, realizing his girlfriend knew this but never mentioned it, and instead of being impressed, he gets angry at her for keeping it from him. Chenna becomes furious in return, asking why he's mad at her for not gossiping about another man's wealth, saying that if all he cares about is someone else's money, then they're done, and she storms off, leaving him behind. Back inside, only Li Yuan and Shen Yuan remain, and Li Yuan sighs, admitting that if he had known Shen Yuan would invest the full amount, he wouldn't have bothered inviting those fake friends. Shen Yuan just smiles, saying it was useful to see who was truly trustworthy, and now that the distractions are gone, he asks about the business plan in detail, wanting to be involved in shaping the idea even though he's only an investor. Li Yuan explains that they'll be opening a bar, and the two spend the next hour discussing the name, theme, layout, and decoration. While they plan, Shen Yuan's phone buzzes with a message from Chen Na, telling him his car is ready for pickup the next day. He replies that there's no rush, then asks if she's free tomorrow. He says he's still curious about that BMW M9. Before she can reply, he sends another message confirming a restaurant meeting. The next day, Chen Na arrives at the restaurant wearing her dealership uniform, which looks more like a stylish costume. She waits patiently, unaware that Shen Yuan is running late. A random man nearby tries to start a conversation, but before she can respond, a chubby bald man passes by and instantly recognizes her. He's seen her around before and decides this is his chance to make a move. His friends, watching from outside, bet that he'll fail. Most believe Chen Na is too serious to entertain him. Among the onlookers is Hai, her ex-boyfriend, who has been following her out of jealousy. The chubby man confidently walks up to Chen Na and asks if he can join her, but she politely refuses, saying she's waiting for a friend. The man thinks she's just being shy and insists that since he's her superior, she should show some respect and dine with him. Chen Na frowns and tells him it would be better if they kept their relationship professional. Ignoring her, he leans closer and says that if her issue is his family, he's willing to get a divorce for her. From a distance, Hai witnesses everything. Enraged, he rushes over and accuses both of betraying him. Before anyone can react, he punches the chubby man in the face, sending him sprawling. The man stands up furious, and a chaotic fight breaks out right there in the restaurant. That's when Shen Yuan finally arrives, looks around confused by the scene, but quickly pieces together what happened. He thanks the chubby man for unknowingly taking a hit meant for him. Then he calmly takes Chenna by the hand and suggests they go somewhere more private to talk. Inside his car, Chenna explains that she had been dating Hai for 2 weeks, but already realized he wasn't a good person. And when Shen Yuan tells her at least now everything is over, she shakes her head. The problem isn't gone. Hai punched her manager, which means her situation at work will only get worse. And when Shen Yuan advises her to quit and find a better job, she says it's not that simple. In her profession, switching dealerships means losing all her clients, and after spending years building trust with them, she admits she's tired of the job altogether. Her dream is to open a small cafe, a quiet place where she could work when she feels like it and rest when she's tired. But she knows it would cost around 400,000, a goal she'll never reach on her own. Shen Yuan, who still needs to invest the rest of his system funds, sees the perfect opportunity and asks what she would do if someone were willing to invest in her cafe, knowing that from the 1 million the system gave him for investments, he still has 300,000 left. He proposes that if she adds 100,000 of her own, they can make it happen, and Chen-na hesitates, stunned, saying that if that were truly possible, she'd quit her job immediately. Shen Yuan smiles and tells her she can hand in her resignation tomorrow and start working for him instead. A small glowing heart appears above her head as her affection score rises to 64, her face turning bright red while Shen Yuan silently celebrates. In his mind, he's just discovered another golden opportunity and another person who could help him build his perfect life. Chen-na becomes flustered and tells Shen Yuan to stop joking, but he insists that he is serious. He asks if she would like to work for him, offering a monthly salary of 12,000 along with bonuses, and as an extra incentive, he promises that if the cafe performs well in the first 2 months, she will receive a car worth 200,000. She is stunned, unable to understand why someone would invest so much money in her, unless he has hidden motive. Still, she believes in keeping her independence and doesn't want to rely on anyone, especially since he already has a girlfriend. She politely declines, saying she cannot accept the offer. Shen Yuan understands her hesitation and explains that he was already planning to invest in something anyway, adding that their relationship would remain strictly professional. She says she'll need some time to think it over. Then his phone buzzes. It's Minrui, sending a message about craving iced tea. He immediately recognizes the hidden meaning behind her message and smiles, impressed by her boundless energy. Later, he returns to the hotel room, numbered 88. Minrui greets him happily and hugs him, but her expression suddenly changes as she smells perfume on his clothes, a woman's scent. He tries to deny it, though he knows it must have come from his earlier meeting in the car. She pushes him away, but he keeps his cool and embraces her again, assuring her that she's the only one he cares about. He explains that the scent came from being near the saleswoman while handling car paperwork and that nothing else happened. Minrui calms down but warns him that if he ever meets other women again, she wants to know about it. Shen Yuan agrees, though privately he doesn't intend to follow that rule. To him, maintaining multiple money trees is part of his success plan. Soon after, the metaphorical game begins again, and this time he performs spectacularly. 2 hours later, the match is over. Somehow he's still standing. He has truly become a man who defies time itself. Minrui's affection toward him reaches 90 points, and the system rewards him. A $1 million lottery ticket, another 1 million spending voucher, and a new skill called Ruthless. The extra money will help him pay off more family debt, but what excites him most is his new skill. When he steps into the hallway to activate it, a faint glow surrounds him. He expects it to make him ruthless in battle, but instead, it enhances all of his other activities. Returning to the room, he activates the skill again, and Minrui unknowingly becomes the first to experience its full power. Meanwhile, Chen-na tells a close friend about the man who offered to invest 300,000 to help her open a cafe. Her friend warns her to be careful. It's unusual for someone to invest that much money out of nowhere. Chen-na confidently replies that she's sure he's rich, having seen him spend nearly 1.5 million in just 2 days, and adds that at least he's kind and attractive, unlike the older men at the dealership. Her friend can hardly believe it. A handsome young man offering that kind of money sounds too good to be true, and she teases Chen-na, saying that if he's that generous, she should accept immediately. Chen-na sighs, saying there's one problem. He's 5 years younger than her, and it feels strange, and her friend laughs and quotes an old saying that if a woman marries a man 3 years younger, it's like holding a gold bar. If he's 5 or 6 years younger, that's 2 gold bars, and she jokingly tells Chen-na that she's lucky. Chen-na blushes and says it's not like that. He already has a girlfriend. Her friend waves that off, saying girlfriends aren't wives, and that a man like him is worth chasing. Chen-na is shocked by the suggestion, but her friend assures her she's only joking, sort of. Still, she advises Chen-na not to miss a good opportunity when it's right in front of her. After they part, Chen-na finds herself lost in thought, imagining Shen Yuan outside her window, smiling that confident smile of his. About 40 minutes later, Minrui looks completely worn out. She tells Shen Yuan that there's something different about him tonight, but is too embarrassed to explain what she means. When he hints at continuing, she refuses, saying she's done for the night. Shen Yuan laughs and tells her that if she can't keep up, she simply needs more practice. The next morning, after Minrui returns to school, Shen Yuan wakes up and checks his lottery ticket. To his disbelief, the numbers match. He's just won 6.8 million. He leaps out of bed, overwhelmed with excitement, and rushes home to tell his parents. When he bursts through the door shouting, his mother scolds him for making so much noise. He pulls his father into the room, saying he has great news and showing them the winning ticket, but his mother thinks he's joking or that school has finally driven him mad. He insists it's real and tells them to check the official results online. His father compares the numbers and nearly faints from shock, while his mother can hardly breathe. Shen Yuan explains that even after the 20% tax deduction, he'll still have around 5 million left, enough to finally start paying off the family debts. Life is finally turning around, and he says he'll only keep a small portion for investments because he still wants to grow their wealth. His father agrees, saying that's fine as long as he doesn't lose everything again. Shen Yuan smiles and tells them he'll take 1 million for himself and leave 4 million for them. Surprisingly, his parents don't overreact and just thank him calmly, simply relieved that things are improving. Meanwhile, back at the dealership, Chen Na's chubby manager, still sporting a bruise from the previous day's fight, confronts her, demanding to know what happened. She stands tall in her uniform, unfazed, and reminds him that she already broke up with Hai, so whatever happened between them has nothing to do with her. The manager refuses to let it go, blaming her for the incident and saying that all problems start somewhere, and this one started with her. Chen Na insists that the fight was between him and Hai, and that he wouldn't have been punched if he hadn't inserted himself into her conversation. The manager smirks and tells her that for not showing up to work the previous day, she's suspended for a full month. She's shocked, explaining that she had asked for permission, but he shrugs and says he doesn't care. He's the boss, and he decides who works there. She knows what that means, losing all commissions and being left with barely enough to pay rent. Furious, she tells him she quits and that she's never coming back. The manager warns her that if she walks out, she won't be welcomed back, but she's already leaving, full of confidence. She waves goodbye, saying she's done with this place for good. Half an hour later, Shen Yuan receives her message saying she's officially quit, and he congratulates her, saying it's about time she escaped that miserable job. Now he just needs to find the perfect spot for the cafe. Soon after, he goes to visit his teacher, a hardworking woman struggling to lift a heavy box from the floor. She looks exhausted, clearly trying to manage too much on her own. She had called him for help, and as he assists her, she tries to reach another box that's too high up. Shen Yuan steps closer, telling her not to worry, he'll handle it. She can't help but notice how close he's standing and starts to feel uneasy. In her mind, this student of hers is becoming more peculiar and a bit too confident for his own good. Shen Yuan's teacher asks if he brought the papers she requested. He nods and hands them over just as a few other students arrive, saying they're there to help her. When they step inside, they stop in confusion, seeing her face bright red, and she quickly steps aside while Shen Yuan explains that he was just helping her earlier. Meanwhile, another student quietly observes the situation and realizes that Shen Yuan is becoming bolder every day. He's now pulling moves even at school. Her heart skips a beat despite herself, but she reminds her mind that he's her student and she shouldn't think that way. Shen Yuan's system notifies him that her affection has increased, meaning his small act of help didn't go unnoticed. The scene shifts to the south side of the school, where a group of students, mostly troublemakers, are hanging out. Among them is a girl with a dangerously attractive charm. They're gathered around Zhang Bing, the guy who recently bought a car and now acts superior to everyone, and he's furious because Minrui has ignored all his advances and won't even respond to his messages, so he tries to act cool, saying not every girl can appreciate a man with such a fine car. The girls gasp, impressed by his new vehicle, assuming his family must be wealthy. Zhang Bing starts to smirk until he spots someone outside. It's Shen Yuan, and next to him is Chen Na, looking as elegant as ever. The girls notice the new car parked outside, a sleek M9, possibly not even a BMW, but a futuristic luxury model similar to a high-end electric car. They all recognize Shen Yuan immediately. The once bankrupt guy seems to be doing just fine. Zhang Bing clenches his fists, unable to process why the man he looks down on is driving that car. Inside the nearby cafe, Chen Na greets Shen Yuan warmly, calling him boss. Zhang Bing watches from a distance, jaw dropping, unable to understand how that goddess could be talking so comfortably with the same guy he's been mocking. Chen Na tells Shen Yuan that the cafe's owner is on her way and asks what he thinks of the car. Shen Yuan shrugs and says it's not bad. One of the villainous girls smirks, sensing something between them, while Zhang Bing feels like his entire world just flipped, wondering how Shen Yuan went from dating one beautiful woman to spending time with another who might be even more stunning. Moments later, the cafe owner arrives. She's slender and elegant. Her name is Liu Wang. She greets Shen Yuan, a little surprised by how young he looks, and he smiles and tells her they're about the same age, all in their early 20s. Liu Wang explains that her cafe hasn't been doing well, though it has potential since many students pass by daily, but because she needs to care for her child, she wants to sell the cafe for 300,000. Shen Yuan decides he'll reserve 50,000 from his budget to cover Chen Na's salary, so he offers 250,000 flat. Liu Wang was hopping for at least 270,000, but since he's paying up front, she agrees and asks if they can close the deal today. He nods, saying that once the papers are signed, the money will be transferred immediately. Liu Wang calls over a few staff members and introduces Shen Yuan as the new owner. He adds that Chen Na will manage the cafe while he handles other business. The nearby girls overhear and whisper among themselves, shocked that he just bought a cafe worth $250,000 in a matter of seconds. Outside, Zhang Bing nearly explodes from jealousy. Then Liu Wang's phone rings. She excuses herself to take the call, stepping aside for a moment. But Chen Na catches a glimpse of the screen and freezes. It's her old boss, the man who fired her from the dealership. Shen Yuan sips his drink and remarks how strange it is that such a man still causes trouble, saying that even though the guy has a beautiful wife at home, he uses his position to harass his employees, and Shen Yuan declares he won't tolerate someone that despicable. Chen Na looks down, explaining that she still has the chat logs proving Zheng Xinyang harassed her and plans to expose him once she gets her salary, then asks Shen Yuan if they should tell Mrs. Lin, afraid it might hurt her. Shen Yuan calmly sips his drink and says it wouldn't be appropriate to tell her, leaving Chen Na puzzled as she asks why. Shen Yuan explains that if those messages go public, Zheng Xinyang will know who exposed him, and since the man is over 40 and desperate, he might do something reckless, so Shen Yuan offers to handle it himself and promises to take him down without involving her. Chen Na listens and thanks him for his honesty. Afterward, Shen Yuan transfers 50,000 to cover Chen Na's first month's salary and tells her he's looking forward to seeing how she runs the cafe. With that, he officially completes his first large-scale investment and becomes a junior investor. The system immediately rewards him with another task, 10 million to invest and expand his business empire. And if he spends it all, his profits will be tripled while also unlocking a mystery industry as a bonus. Shen Yuan grins. His journey as a true businessman has just begun. Before leaving, Liu Wang thanks him once again for the smooth deal, smiling warmly and saying it was a pleasure doing business. As Shen Yuan shakes her hand, he can't help but notice how soft her hands feel, delicate, almost weightless. His mind drifts for a moment, imagining what a match with her might be like. He quickly pulls back, keeping his composure, and tells her he looks forward to seeing her again. Half an hour later, Shen Yuan takes Chen Na to a fancy restaurant. At least that's what he claims is just for dinner. She looks around, a little uneasy, and mentions that the place seems very expensive. He casually replies that he doesn't usually come there, but that today calls for a celebration. And while she looks through the menu, he can't stop staring at her, finding her simply irresistible, so he gestures for her to sit closer. And somehow, despite being on the other side of the table, she ends up right next to him. Shen Yuan silently reminds himself that he has already spent 300,000 to open a cafe for her and is paying her 12,000 a month in salary, so he might as well enjoy some kind of bonus. Chen Na, however, has her own thoughts. She doesn't believe in generosity without purpose and wonders why he is really investing so much money into this cafe, knowing it's unlikely he expects to make a profit, so there must be another reason behind it. Meanwhile, Shen Yuan gets bolder, placing his hands where they shouldn't be. Chen Na stiffens and tells him to stop, warning that the waitresses could walk in at any moment. He replies that the food here takes a while to be served, so they have plenty of time. A few minutes later, a server's voice calls from the doorway, announcing that the dishes are ready. Chen Na, flustered, quickly asks them to just bring it over. The meal is delicious, and Shen Yuan acts like he's completely at ease. He knows all the good spots in town, a habit from his days of wealth. Chen Na watches him closely, thinking that he's handsome and clearly rich but also incredibly shameless, not just because he's flirting while already involved with another woman, but because he does it so effortlessly. And still, at this point, it's too late for her to back out. When the bill arrives, Shen Yuan pays without hesitation, seeing it as just another small expense that will double anyway thanks to his system. Chen Na, on the other hand, realizes that what he just spent on this single meal equals her entire commission from selling a luxury car. Outside, she says she wants to return to the cafe to talk with the owner, but Shen Yuan tells her it's too late. She's likely already closed for the day. She sighs and agrees, asking him to just drop her off at home. When they reach her apartment complex, she thanks him for the evening, but he says he's thirsty and could use a glass of water. She gives him a wary look, suspecting what he really means. He insists it's just water, but she crosses her arms and asks if there's a man waiting inside. She clarifies that she broke up with Hai and lives alone. Shen Yuan smiles, saying then there shouldn't be a problem letting him in for a drink. She hesitates, asking if he really plans to only drink water and leave, and though he nods innocently, she already knows deep down that won't be the case. Moments later, they're inside her apartment. The tension is unmistakable. But downstairs, Hai arrives holding a bouquet of flowers. Oblivious to what's happening upstairs, he knocks on the door, only to freeze when he hears unmistakable sounds from within. His face turns pale, and he begins pounding on the door, shouting in anger. Inside, Shen Yuan hears the noise but smirks. He tells Chen Na that it's probably a neighbor and lifts her into his arms. Outside, Hai collapses in disbelief. His heart shatters completely. He realizes he's lost her forever. By the next morning, the storm has passed. Chen Na wakes up early and quietly prepares breakfast in the kitchen. Shen Yuan wakes to the smell of cooking and smiles to himself, thinking how much better it feels to wake up in a woman's home than in a hotel room. Then the system chimes in again with a new mission, explaining that a perfect life requires a home, and that if he truly wants to take care of himself and the women in his life, he must own property. The goal is clear. He has 24 hours to buy a 100 square meter house for Chen Na, and the good news is that every dollar he spends will be doubled, plus he'll receive a mystery property as a bonus. Shen Yuan, ever the opportunist, thinks this is perfect. He's already imagining a house with a swimming pool where all the women could relax while he enjoys the view. Chen Na calls him over for breakfast, but his mind is elsewhere. He's wondering what kind of reward he'll get once her affection reaches 90 points. He walks over, hugs her from behind, and whispers softly that as a gift for last night, he's going to buy her a house. Chen Na freezes. After everything that happened the previous night, she never thought Shen Yuan would still be offering her something. She assumed he already got what he wanted, but he kisses her on the cheek and asks why she isn't answering, and she replies that money doesn't grow on trees, though for Shen Yuan, it practically does. His money seems endless, coming from nowhere whenever he needs it. He hugs her tightly and tells her there's nothing wrong with buying a house for his woman. Still, he's a bit concerned that things got too noisy last night, and the neighbors probably heard everything, so maybe moving out is a good idea. Chen Na tells him that her friend wants to meet her at the cafe to see the place, and they can go house hunting afterward, but Shen Yuan shakes his head. He says buying a house takes time, there's paperwork and other details, so he wants to spend the whole day looking. She agrees and messages her friend, saying she'll meet her later that night. Meanwhile, her friend Qin, wearing a red cap, is with another woman named Meng Luo, a tall fitness trainer with purple hair. Meng Luo doubts that Chen Na's cafe deal actually happened. She says no man would just spend 300,000 like that, but Qin disagrees and insists that Chen Na wouldn't lie about something like this. Then Qin gets a message and suddenly shouts that Shen Yuan is buying Chen Na a house. Meng Luo almost faints from shock. There's a huge difference between a man who buys handbags and one who buys houses. She quickly decides she wants to take advantage of this too, and tells Qin to ask Chen Na where they're looking. Qin nods and says she'll text her right away. 40 minutes later, Shen Yuan and Chen Na arrive at the Tang Real Estate District, and as soon as they get there, Chen Na is stunned to see that every house in the area costs millions. Qin spots them and runs over, greeting Chen Na happily and saying it's been so long. She introduces her two friends, Meng Luo and Qin. Meng Luo immediately starts showing off, stretching and moving like she's in a performance, then tells Shen Yuan he has a good build but should visit her gym sometime. Shen Yuan smirks and says if he went there, he wouldn't be able to focus. Meng Luo quickly realizes he's flirting, and since he's doing it so openly in front of Chen Na, they might not actually be a couple. Then she notices a faint bruise on Chen Na's knee and assumes she had an intense workout the night before. Qin jumps in to change the topic, saying she knows a great place for buying cars, and Shen Yuan thanks her. His system shows both women's affection levels jumping to 68 and 67. He quickly realizes they aren't real friends to Chen Na, but that doesn't matter to him. He only cares about being surrounded by women with high affinity levels. As they walk through the luxury neighborhood, everyone stares. Shen Yuan strolls confidently with three beautiful women at his side, and every man watching secretly wants to strangle him. To them, he's living the dream life. A real estate agent walks up and offers to show them some houses. She says the price is 15,000 per square meter, but Shen Yuan interrupts and says he came to spend 3 million and wants to know what he can get for that. The agent immediately brings them to the VIP section, where serious buyers are served. The women following him are stunned, unable to believe he's casually dropping 3 million like it's pocket change. Meng Luo, especially, becomes more determined to win his attention. They sit on a soft couch, while the agent recommends a 165 square meter house, priced at 2.9 million. Chenna holds his arm and tells him not to buy it because it's too expensive, but Shen Yuan, already holding her close, reassures her that he just wants a comfortable home. The other women watch with envy as Chenna tries to stop him from spending too much, yet he remains eager to buy the house for her. That's what a real man looks like. Still, Shen Yuan knows how things work in China. Not bargaining at all makes you look like a fool. So he turns to the manager and says they should talk discounts, and she asks if he's ready to buy today because if he is, she can get him a great deal. But he shakes his head and says that instead of lowering the price, he wants extra parking spaces, already planning for future expansion. Meanwhile, Meng Luo keeps trying to flirt, playing with her hair, throwing glances his way, and striking a new pose every few seconds. Shen Yuan watches her and wonders if she's a bit crazy. Then she changes her posture again in a subtle, calculated way, and he realizes she's not crazy, she's experienced. She's clearly playing the seduction game on purpose, and while he can't help but be a little impressed, he quickly pushes those thoughts aside. Right now, he's focused on signing the deal for a 3 million home, and making sure everyone knows he's serious. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories.